Right, Jenkins. Yeah, I enjoyed my trip. Yeah, mussel festival. Yeah, no, not them mussels, seafood mussels. Yeah, won a prize as well. Come first in the snoring, the mussel snore competition 2025. Shaped like a mussel. No, not that mussel. Seafood mussel. Yeah, dirty boy. Hello, welcome to Tweed Schedule. In this video, we're going to see whether I spaffed my money unnecessarily on a new carburettor. Was the old one worn? Did it really need it? Was it the worn valve guides? Worn valves? Was it the valve timing out? You know, who knows? So, what we're going to do, put this on, find out. So, first thing I need to do was make some new gaskets. I made a new gasket and needed to make a spacer block as well to mount the carb on. Well, sort of insulator and a spacer block. For the reasons you'll see later, there's a bit of sort of clearance issue. Yeah, previously they'd used, last guy I'd used, a very thick piece of gasket, but that's no good because it was, it's mounted with that and a very thick gasket as well. Yeah, which probably led to some of that distortion on it. So what we've done was grabbed a bit of Paxlin or phenonic board or whatever it is. Yeah, and it had a nice square edge on it. So first thing we done was measured the back of the carburettor and come up with a drawing for machining. So yeah, let me bring that in closer to you. So have a look, see here. Yeah, so we worked out, it's all quite convenient. Centre hole is 1 inch and the outer mounting holes are 2 inches apart. So it was easy to work out, each of those holes was 1 inch either side of the centre hole. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So once we got these, popped this board in the milling machine and it had a nice square edge, and then proceeded to, with the old wobblers on the milling machine, find my zero corner, my 0 point, my X and Y 0. So we've done that with that in the milling machine, and then knowing the 0, we then had our measurements. I also worked out what the distance was between the hole, from the holes to the outside edge down here and that. I worked out what my centre point was to start machining. So, centre drill, and then drill a pilot hole, the pilot hole was the finished size hole for my 2 mounting holes, so proceeded to drill them. And then with that done, move to just, I've got a set of drills, looks like they're just under ream size drills. So I had an inch drill, well, yeah, just under an inch, pop that in the milling machine and then use that to drill my inch hole in the middle of my Paxil in. And it sort of went well. As you see, eek, yeah, eek moment, it moved. I saw it move, here it moves again, look. And in slow motion, moves. So, easy to reset. Because I'd done my other two holes, all I needed to do was find the centre of the big hole, and because the pilot hole was still in the middle, I hadn't gone all the way through, just popped the pilot drill back in, popped it down, centred it up, and then made sure it was all clamped tightly again, then went back in with a big drill. And slowly drilled that hole out, and then once that had cleared, just ran it down with an inch reamer, which left us with a perfect sized finished hole for the carb spacer. So with that done, what I'd done was pop the carburettor on it, lined it up with the holes, scribed around it, and then that gave me my cut lines, and just sort of went round with a hacksaw and cut the shape out as close as I could, and then just finished it off on the sanding belt. And there you go, there it is, all finished. Told my cousins this, and they were horrified. It's like, you can't machine that, you know, with a hoover and mask and all stuff like this. And yeah, they're both XRE, ex-NGTE, National Gas Turbine Establishment. But they all forget. They all forget. When I was an apprentice, we were given 2 boards of this, 8 by 4 foot. 8 by 4 foot? Yeah, maybe a bit smaller. They were big sheets, and the engineering shop had welded up some trolleys for us. I don't think we made them. Might have done, long time ago. Anyway, we had these frames on wheels, and then 2 of these Paxil panels each side, and then we had a wiring diagram and loads of terminals, mountings and fuse holders, and I can't remember what they were for. They were for the airfield, sort of connecting between the aircraft and the power, you know, the sort of standalone power units. Yeah, but you know, we were drilling holes in them and cutting them out, and different times. Anyway, there's no need to worry because I had the mill turned down. As you can see, was drilling really slowly, and wasn't blowing, you know, dust everywhere, and yeah, anything dangerous. I just got Jenkins to do it. Yeah, so it's all fine. So yeah, nice spacer made. So with that done, I'll just pop that over my gasket paper, run around it with a very fine pencil, trace the outline, and then with hole punches and scissors, just proceeded to cut the gasket out, ready for it to go on the bike. So let's go to the Chapitarium. Okay, so back on the bike, we made gasket, made our Paxil insulator spacer to go on, and yeah, where I traced it off of the carburettor, there is a slight difference top and bottom, so I've marked that on there, and on the gasket which way round they go round. So that goes round that way. That's the bottom, arrow at the bottom there, and that'll all go on there like that. We've turned up 2 stainless steel washers, because we always like washers bearing down on aluminium rather than the nuts just digging in. And then the nuts, I've ran a tap down them to clean them up a bit, so because they were really tight getting them off. And this is a cycle thread. It's 26 threads per inch, 5/16 I think, remembering off the top of my head. So yeah, luckily I had that tap because I've had this on the Scott, I think. Yeah, so clean those up, ready to go on. So we've got a bit of well seal, just belt and braces, so we don't have to do this up super tight. So we'll put a dob of that on, and then we'll start getting the carburettor back on in the reverse order. But if you didn't see the last video, we'll run through it again, putting it back on again. So brush, put the old well seal on there. The thing is, this is nice and thin. Nice thin layer on it. We only want a really thin layer.
Maybe there's a happy tree, evergreen tree. He lives right there.
Just belt and braces really. It's good gasket paper that I've made the new gasket out of. So, but not too thick, so we distort the carburettor. There we go. Pop that on. You should put it on both surfaces really, but if I pop it on whilst it's wet and give it a good smooch round, I'll do it nicely. Okay, it's getting chilly in the evenings now, so it doesn't dry instantly. And then the carburetor itself has got a rubber O-ring, so it doesn't need any of this. And it'll bear down on a nice new surface of this spacer. Give that a good coat all the way around. There we go. Pop that on. A little bedding down. There we go. And then we'll just leave that there whilst we fiddle around with the carburettor. So, first thing I need to do is reassemble the cables into the carb top. So we'll make sure we've got our new springs, choke slide or air slide. Put them together, put them somewhere so I can grab them. And then this is our air slide cable. So it goes in the one towards the outside of the carb. Put that through there, run that up there. And then brass sleeve into there. Spring. Make sure the cable's pushed all the way out. Because being a new spring, it's probably going to be a bit fiddly. And then we get the slide. Make sure we pop it in the right way around. There we go. Got a bit more slack. Made sure that the cable was sitting in all the adjusters. There we go. And hopefully we can hook it back on onto the lever. Get all the adjusters back out. And then when we operate the lever, it operates the air slide. Okay, right, first cable in. Okay, that's that one done. Next we've got to put the slide back on. So we'll find the cable, throttle cable, drop it in the middle one, pull it down, pull the cable through, drop the spring on, push the spring back, push it up as far as you can. And then with a bit of flat nose pliers sort of across the spring, grip the cable, hold the spring back and then feed the air slide through the slide, pop the cable nipple down through the needle hole and slide it over into the nipple recess and then release. There you go. So we've got our choke slide in there and then the throttle slide all together, 2 cables in. And the last thing to do is pop the needle up in the needle hole in the middle there, and then we need to sort of position it so we're in the middle slot. A bit difficult to see in the evening, but I've got, you want to see with my torch, you just want to push and pass and count and pass. 1, 2, 3 there, and I did run a Sharpie around it as well just to try and highlight it a bit, and then gently pop the clip in. There we go, spring it in. There we go, needle in position. So then we grab carburettor and pop the slide in, get the right way round. It is keyed, like I said earlier. There's a little throttle adjuster goes in here, there's a little slot down there, corresponds with the, you can't really see it, but there's a ridge inside the slide that drops into that slot. All I've got is a centre punch here or screwdriver or something. I just put between the locking latch and the carb top, just push it through just to take the tension off of this ring, so it makes it easy to do that, because that's quite tight, that spring. So then I pop the O-ring in, a bit of grease just to hold it in place, and then we pop the slide down there, making sure the jet goes down the middle hole, down the jet hole, and then make sure it goes down the top of the needle jet. Just gently feed it down, give it a little wiggle so that ridge engages with the slot, and feed it all the way down, and then gently do the top up without cross threading it. Like that, and then not forgetting to make sure it's locked in. That little tab has dropped into the slot in the body of the carburettor. And do that up like that. Just pop that out, and that'll be locked in place. And then checking the O-ring's still on there, slide the carburettor into position like so. Check it seats home nicely and it doesn't foul on anything. It's very close to this bolt on the dynamo bracket. Wondering whether that would be better the other way around, but I think I've got clearance because I've put this spacer block on. I think it clears Once it's tightened all down, that should be okay. It's just dropping over that way. Okay, so washer, nut, we've cleaned up thread, it goes on nicely now. Oh, for Christ's sake. I've dropped one washer, lost it, found a bolt with a washer that's always been sitting there for a long time. I didn't drop it. Couldn't find a washer, so I've had to turn another one up. So, 5-minute job takes 3 hours. Oh, I'm going to drop it again. Can I see? Oh, I can see through there. Little peeky-boo, peeky-boo. Right, washer's on. Like I said, on these old bikes and cars, just because you can see it, don't mean you can get to it. Right, that one's wound up finger tight. That one's wound up. Give it a wiggle, yeah, that O-ring's definitely doing its job. And we just gently ease it down. Give it a little nip. Little nip that side. Check we've got clearance. Yeah, we've got clearance down there. Not happy about it. Might move the bolt over this side, the head of the bolt over this side of the dynamo, because it doesn't need to come all the way out. It's only just to loosen it so you can slide the dynamo out and give a lot more clearance for the carburettor. There we go. New carburettor on. Oh, hang on. Let's put the fuel side on. Do you know what? It's an old carburettor nut for the fuel banjo. Yeah, somebody's dropped one down there. 5/16. Yep. So we just give that a little tight from this side. And we'll run it for a bit, see how it goes, and then nip any of them down if they're sort of leaking fuel. Just to bed them in. Hopefully once they've got a bit of fuel they'll swell up a bit and seal up. There we go. New carb back on the bike. Now, I would take it outside and test it, but it's 11:15 at night, and I don't think the neighbours would like it. So, new carburettor on the bike, looking good, clearance all round, all fits, all tightens up. Yeah, didn't do it up too tight because we've got an O-ring, and we don't want to sort of bend it and squash it like the old one. If you see the previous video, I'll put a link in the bottom so you can go and see how bad the wear was on that. Anyway, let's pop it outside and see if it was money well spent. So there you go. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? Yeah, really pleased with that. And that was the first start out of the box on the bike. No adjustments made. Sounded great. No more coughing, spitting back through the carb. No more backfiring on the overrun. So, as I said, the carb was so worn, it was just getting, you know, a lean mixture, and it was upsetting the mixtures all the time, just causing all sorts of problems. So we didn't have to worry about worn valve guides. I know it's got new valves and guides in it because I found the old bills from when it's been restored. And yeah, the valve timing, yeah, I think that's fine. It would have been, you know, it would have been a bugger to start, or it would have been backfiring, or yeah. So that was all okay. All it was, at the end of the day, was a knackered, worn out carburettor. So money well spent, and a nice product as well. No affiliation, no discount. Bought it with my own money. Yeah, if you're struggling with an old bike and you've gone through everything else, have a look at the Carb. Yeah, they've done their time. So yeah, treat it to a new one. So there you go. So that's that done. And with that all running well, I could concentrate on another job, which I think if you saw a previous video, I'd taken it out for a ride. There was a couple of issues. One was it was running hot, popping, banging, that kind of thing. The other one was the front brake was making a horrendous noise every time you pulled it on. And yeah, it just sort of grabbed, and yeah, it just wasn't very nice. So I tended to use the back brake. And with that, I had an issue that it was sort of, it wouldn't release. It would release, but you could hear it dragging, and then eventually it would, you know, it would come off. So that needs looking at as well. So I thought we'd look at the front brake first. So pop it back in the Chapoterium, and we'll look at trying to get that wheel off. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to have enough room to drop this wheel forward enough to drop the brake plate out, but we'll have a go. Yeah, got a jack under the engine, just supporting it, just in case any weight goes forwards. It shouldn't do, really. It should sort of go once you release the weight of the wheel, it should sort of put the bias towards the back of the bike. But yeah, the sort of position in that stand is a bit weird. So I'm not too sure. So belt and braces, got the tools down here. I think that's all we'll need. Nice big spanner, pin punch to stick in the wheel spindle down there to move it out, but that'll be out of camera, so just imagine me wiggling this around in there to draw it out. Got to undo these two nuts, release this brake torsion arm. Unfortunately, it'd be nice to do it here, but there's not a lot of clearance between that and that, and I don't want to take the mud guard off if I can avoid it. So just sort of going over it initially. There wasn't a huge amount of free movement. I have sort of backed off just a touch on the front brake. So it didn't have a lot of movement before it was coming on. So I think it needs to be eased off a bit, give it a little bit of free play. And also this sort of angle, I think that's how it's meant to be, but it's not great, where it sort of dives down, you know, towards the lever there, sort of dragging it upwards. I suppose it becomes more neutral as it comes up, but I think it needs a bit more movement in there to make the brakes a sort of nicer experience. So put you on the stand and I'll sort of undo this, and we'll see if we can wiggle it off, see how far we can get. Apologies for the camera light on, but the light is appalling, and we're now in autumn, so the evenings are drawing in, and then the clocks go back soon, so it'll be even darker in the evenings. Always comes as a surprise. And the grumble. Yes, we grumble about the weather, but we also grumble about the clocks changing as well. It's a complete pain in the arse, to be honest with you. So these are, as before, I think when we're on this Carb, quarter Whitworth, 5/16 BS. There we go, shake-proof washer. What I might do is just loosen that off just to give a bit of movement. Of course it's a different size. Yeah, right, bear with. There we go, 5/16 Whitworth, 3/8 British Standard. Sorry about that, I didn't realise you couldn't see. Right, it's these two we're doing up here. So they go through the forks, through the mudguard mount, and then into the torque arm. So that's one. There we go. Right, that's loosey loose. Will it swing out of the way? Yes, it will. Okay, right, that's out of the way. Next thing, slacken this adjuster off. Have we got enough slack to hook that off? Yep, okay, release that. So we need to get this adjuster off the bottom. Wind the adjuster lock nut all the way off. Then wind the adjuster back the other way. There we go. Drop the cable out of the way. Let's move it right out of the way. There we go. And then next, undo the big E, which is 5/8 Whitworth or 11/16 BS. So, big E nut off. Pop it down there, then try our punch through the hole. It's a nice fit through the hole on the other side. Ah, there might be a pinch bolt. Yep, there's a pinch bolt. I think he's painted it, unfortunately. There we go. Try not to scuff the paint on the bottom of the forks. So I've moved it to the side a bit. You missed it. Let some air out. Try and give me a bit more clearance. But there's paint in here, which probably doesn't help. There we go, something's gone. There we go. Right. See how much room we got. I don't think we're going to have a lot of room here. That ain't going to work. Right, I'll come back to you. Okay, we've had to unbolt the mudguard, I think. And the only way to get this off, I think, is lift it up. Put a bit of padding around it so we don't scratch it on the shrouds. One bolt holding here. I think I might have to lift it up, roll the wheel out, and then drop it back down again. Bolt out. Mudguard should be. Oh, it's sort of built in there. You just can't drop it down. I think I've got to take the back support off. Yeah, you can see why they threw these away, these mudguards, didn't they? And went for the ones without the valance. At least you could roll the wheel out from the forks without all this palaver. I thought we'd get a way of moving it up, but these are, can you see what I'm pointing to? These are catching on the bottom of the forks. I've either got to undo all those as well. That fold out of the way. Give us a little bit of movement. As I said before, you can see everything, but you can't get to it. Hoping to swing this one down or up. Give us a bit more clearance. Now I think this has got a fork on it, so it will drop down. Oh, like that. Allow us to tilt it up slightly. And we move it up like that. Right, hopefully you can see. I've got to do a bit of juggling. I can move that Now up there, gently. And then can I roll the wheel out? There we go. There we go. Bolts in. It doesn't go wandering off. I think we mixed them all up, but we'll sort it out later. So there you go. That was easy. Nice job to do by the side of the road. So let's go and have a look at this front brake. See if we can stop it making horrible noises. Okay, that's better. We can see what we're doing now, and got a bit more space. Yeah, not a lot more, but a bit more, and gives a chance. Yeah, I'll give this a little polish before we put it back on, as we can get to it. Wiggle the brake out. Come on, you little pickle. There we go. Ah, yeah, smells stinky, and yeah, you can see, I don't know whether it's where it's got damp or whether there's got some grease on there. You've got these shavings of brake material off here, yeah, especially here. Yeah, should be this colour really, not this colour, so I don't know if it's got a bit of grease ground into it. Have a look. Yeah, it's got a layer of, yeah, there's a layer of muck on them. See, that's what the noise was. It's that, whatever that is, layer of something on there. I don't know if somebody's been busy with the grease gun, but it looks like new shoes or new shoe material bonded on, because the adjuster's right at the sort of back of its adjustment. So yeah, got plenty of adjustment on there once these wear a little. So what I'll think I'll do is give these a degreasing and a clean, and then file a little lead in on the back and the front of each shoe, which is just basically like a sort of bit of a chamfer, so that rather than this corner rubbing on the brake drum, you have a bit of a lead in, so you don't get so much, you know, trying to avoid juddering and stuff like that. And if you notice, when you get well, brake pads, modern brake pads, a lot of them tend to have a bit of a lead in shaped on the outside edges of them, just to help them bed in. So yeah, so we'll do the same on this. We'll put a bit of a lead in on the back sides and the front sides, give them a degreasing, bit of a clean, and clean the drum out, and I think that should improve matters no end. Right, making progress. Bit of emery cloth on the brake drum there. It's cleaned up quite nicely, and yeah, it doesn't seem to be worn. I've been attacking the brake shoes, so yeah, that's what they looked like when I took them out, and that's what they clean up like when we get rid of that gunky stuff on the surface. Probably grease dripping out. There's like a split pin hole here, so it's probably oil, grease or crap that's fallen down from somewhere where it's been standing for a few years. So I'll carry on. There we go. Looks a bit healthier. Giving them a bit of a light rubbing, degreasing, brake cleaner, and then just a little lead in on both edges of the shoes to help bed them in. There we go. Give it a little polish and then go back on. Oh, and that bag of grease nipples I got for the Scott that I've sort of been popping a couple on has paid dividends, as I discovered there was a grease nipple missing on the bottom of the brake operating arm. So little lubrication point there, so we'll just pop one in, stops the dirt going in, and give it a splodge of grease. every now and again. Here we go. Tiny King Dick to the rescue. So there we go, all cleaned up, and the brakes come on nicely. Yeah, there's not much slip, but once the weight of a motorcycle's behind it, it should make a bit of a difference. But yeah, all ready to go back on the bike. So there you go, that's the front wheel, hub, brake, all cleaned up, put back together. It's always nice to, you know, when you go to the effort of deciding to take something apart and then find you have to take quite a lot apart to get to it, to actually find a problem. As I said, you know, as I was going through it, I think it was just either a bit of grease in there or the oil and the grease where it's been standing for so long. Some of it had, you know, got on the drum and then got rubbed into the shoes. But it was only on the surface and it cleaned off really well with a brake cleaner, and it hadn't sort of saturated the shoe material, so no worries there. So yeah, just give that a clean up, sort of light bit of emery just to, you know, key in the shoe material, chamfered off the edges like I said, and then took the wheel out and went and put it all back on the bike. And actually, as you can see, it's all back on the bike. It's actually easier putting it in than it was taking it out. So yeah, so that's back together. I had a little look at the brake, the rear brake again. I don't know, there was just no slack sort of dialed into the cables. You need a little bit of give, you know, for stuff to sort of return home. So yeah, I've backed off the back brake a little bit as well. So getting ready for yeah, going out on it again. But this time, taking you lot with us. Yeah, stick you on the back. Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it? Right, there you go. That's all. Hope you liked it. If you did, give us a little like and subscribe, because, as everybody says, doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost you a penny. Costs you a bit of your time, but you might enjoy it. Yeah? All right. See you next time. Right. Oh, where's my trophy? Yeah, I'm off, Jenkins. I'm going to polish my muscle. Yeah. No, this one, filthy. It'll come to me. Lovely trophy, Jenkins. Look. Hello. Welcome to Tweed. Oh, let's get that. Looking around for a sense of direction. Don't know where I'm going, Jenkins. We're going to see whether I just looks great. Do you like my hair? Helmet hair. Oh, it's the RAF.